Hi guys, welcome to Sheria. Sheria is a platform where we educate the common mwananchi on the law with the aim of empowering them and equipping them. Karibu sana. So today we have a very special guest. I would let her introduce herself.
Hi, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be on this platform. Gloria Kimani is my name. I'm an advocate of 4 years standing right now, and I do practice under the name and style of Gloria Kimani Advocates. I am also a council member at the Law Society of Kenya.
Oh, wow. Yes. Kindly tell our viewers, although you already told them previously, but tell them again what the Law Society of Kenya is.
Okay, so the Law Society of Kenya is a body of advocates that regulates advocates and legal spaces in Kenya. And their main mandate is under Section 4 of the Law Society of Kenya Act, which is promotion of the rule of law. So, and protecting also the rule of law. So, in short, it's just keeping the government accountable. Yes.
Wow, that's an amazing place to be. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, before you joined the Law Society of Kenya as a council member, you were at the Nairobi branch?
Yes.
Okay. So, I believe you worked with a group called RAT.
Yes.
Kindly tell our viewers what RAT is, what your mandate was, and what it entailed.
Okay, so RAT was a committee under the LSK Nairobi branch. So maybe a brief of what branches and the Law Society National does. So the Law Society of Kenya is the national body, and then it has like counties. So these are branches. And so I was a council member at the branch. And in this branch, Nairobi branch, we had a committee called the Rapid Action Team. It was created at a time where we had a lot of masqueraders. Masqueraders meaning people who are unqualified to be advocates, like they do not have certificates to be advocates. So it was really rapid at that time. And so we thought of forming a team with 2 other members, was Stephen Bogwa and Teresia Vinya-Nicholas. And our main mandate was people to report. If they report, we would investigate with other relevant authorities like the police and the DCI, and we would investigate if a person is an advocate or not.
Yes. Oh, wow. How effective was it?
Well, we had quite a share of challenges, but it was a very fulfilling thing at the end of the day, where you at least protect, at the end of the day, you protect the public from unqualified persons. And definitely the challenges were from finding this masqueraders, because you know it's not like an organized crime. You find it's just random people who decide, hey, today we can make
be a lawyer.
Yes, we can make money from being a lawyer. Oh, it's easy being a lawyer. Oh, they were clerks in court, or they were clerks in a law firm, and then they decide, si kazi ya wakili tumeijua, tunaweza fanya. So, and maybe they're the ones who actually even spoil our profession, because they do not do their work professionally, and the quality of work they do is very poor. So people out here are thinking, mawakili, what is wrong with them? And indeed, maybe they are not advocates. They have not gone through the training of going to campus, first qualifying actually to study law and go to campus. After campus, you go to KSL. After KSL, you are admitted. So you go through pupillage and then you're admitted. It's quite a process. And then they think, we can just be lawyers just because we worked in a law firm or we worked in court. So we know these processes. No,
I agree. And in fact, you said a very important thing. The quality of their work. Yes. What are the effects of being represented by a masquerader or an unqualified person?
Well, the effects are dire, and now it comes maybe mostly to the people who are represented by these people, because the documents they draft, they are null from the beginning. So if they represented you in court, it's null from the beginning. We have had so many cases of masqueraders who are said to have won cases somewhere, and when the Law Society started investigating these cases, there are people who were actually jailed, and they were purportedly represented by this person. So what happens? So this person has to go on appeal and just try and tell the court the person who was representing me was not an advocate, but whose responsibility is it to know that it's the advocate? It's the public. And the public has to be very vigilant in these things, because if you say you're represented by an advocate, it is your duty to actually check if that person is an advocate. And how do they check if that person is an advocate? They have to go maybe to the LSK portal. It's called the advocate search. You go to LSK website, you go to the advocate search, and you search the name of that person who purports to be an advocate. It'll come active or inactive, or even deceased. There are people who use other people's names. So you have to be very vigilant. And also, even in land transactions, if your papers were signed, the transfer documents were signed by an unqualified person, that transaction fails. And it's very sad. Most of them give a lot of money to these people, and at the end of the day, they lose it. And they lose their property, they lose their cases, and they blame it on advocates. And actually, it's on them to actually know that.
Carry out due diligence.
Yes.
Exactly. And you've mentioned an important point. What is the recourse? Is there any hope? Because I'm sure there's a viewer there thinking, mimi nilichezwa, but what do I do? What's the next step?
To be honest, we generally have to be honest to the members of the public. And if there's any recourse, it's just reporting to a police station. Come maybe go to any LSK office, the branches or national office, report to the police. And the recourse you get is that person, it's an illegality. They are criminals who are doing this. Any person who purports to be an advocate and they are not, it's a crime. So basically, these people are criminals, and the only recourse you get is they face the law through the justice system.
So what you're trying to say, pesa ikienda imeenda.
Imeenda. Sadly, imeenda. And that's why we try and educate the public. You need a qualified advocate to actually do this.
Yeah, and I think we dealt that with our previous episodes. You can look through them, how you can search. If someone comes to you and tells you, hey, I'm an advocate, I can represent you in a certain case, take their names. Go to the search engine, search their names, search advocate. Itakwambia. They can be using, like she said, an identity of a dead person. How will you know they can be inactive? In fact, on that point, there's another form of professional misconduct. You can be an advocate, but you're not licensed to practice. Kindly shed light on that.
Okay. So yes, you have been admitted to the bar. And every year, lawyers are supposed to take out a practicing certificate. So they pay for the practicing certificate at the beginning of the year for them to practice the whole year. So there are some who, for one reason or another, they do not actually pay for their practicing certificate. So they are actually not licensed to practice. Not only being admitted by an advocate makes you an advocate, but being a licensed advocate that year, that makes you the work that you do valid. So most of the time we find this is professional misconduct for the advocates who have not taken up their pieces. And actually what the Law Society of Kenya does, if you report such a thing, what the Law Society of Kenya does, they actually write to the specific advocate and give them a notice to show cause. Why are you practicing without a practicing certificate? It's a requirement under the Advocates Act that you need to have a practicing certificate for that year to actually be called a qualified advocate. Yes.
So what you're trying to say is it's not enough for them to be an advocate. They have to be licensed to practice for that year. So the first thing you should do when you enter that office is, number one, search them. And once you find that they're a qualified advocate, then ask them, hey, can I kindly see your practicing certificate for the year? Don't shy away. Like Sheria said, pesa ikienda imeenda. So that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. It was such a pleasure to be here.
And viewers, today, I'm sure you can notice we're in a different location. We are at SEMA Studios. You can check out Millenium Work Depot on IG, and you can book yourself a session here in case you'd like to record something or a podcast, whatever it is, reach out to them. The place is beautiful. They have great facilities, and it's definitely affordable. I hope you've learned something. Yes? Protect yourself. It's your mandate to protect yourself. Kindly share, like, and subscribe. Until next time, bye-bye.